This was a this was a very good arc. This is probably people will be shocked, but this is probably my favorite arc in Goblin Slayer so far. I really feel that way, you know, because we get a little bit of everything. We get some action at the end, some satisfying goblin slaying. We get some character development, character introductions, flaws, some understanding, some good dialogue. We got a whole bunch of good stuff that you get when it comes to writing a decent short arc, and that's exactly what we got out of this. And I gotta say, I'm 100% satisfied, really, with this. It was. I'm not trying to say, oh, it's the best thing ever, of course, but it was just nice to read. A little fast passage to go through. To get yourself ready for the next arc, where that may be. We got insight on Goblin Slayer, what he's feeling, and the fact that we can see Goblin Slayer, his emotions, without seeing his face, or even him talking sometimes, is amazing, is because of the detail towards his armor, the lighting and shading. I said this before in episode 2, when they were doing it, when he was showing how depressed he was, and then he went into an alley and started crying, finding out that has he been doing anything really? Him just slaying goblins haven't changed anything. One less goblin means another person can be saved, but is it enough? You know, my question is how the goblins are multiplying so much if the only way for them to breed is by uh, abusing a human chick. It makes you wonder um, how many have they captured throughout the entire world in order to produce so many goblins. It kind of freaks you out a bit. Well, it depends how many um, goblins can be produced from a human body, I guess. And even that is kind of like, whoa, don't want to get into that situation now, do I? But it's something you do have to think about to understand you're an enemy, despite how grotesque it may be. You gotta look into that darkness to understand darkness itself. You can't look away and say, I'm gonna fight it off. That's not how that works. But yeah, the goblins just start doing a sneak attack, preying upon the weak. Goblins are cowardly creatures, and they know there's no way they can stand a chance against, Goblin Slayer and his gang. Because not only that, you had the knights, you had the lancer, you had a witch there, you had all kinds of professionals. There's no way. So fighting against the rookies and the rookies that had no supervisors were the main targets. And I like how realistic it was. Usually in these kind of situations in fantasy, everyone gets saved, no one dies, and some were injured. But this one, no, they show the reality of this game that they are in, and it's one of them just got grabbed and just got torn up, man. She just got torn up like it was nothing, man. It was just like, damn, man. They of course, expecting from this show, they're going to go there. The reason why I really do respect this show a lot. It's not on my top tens, but I do respect it for what it's willing to go to show you the reality in this fantasy world. Maybe a fantasy world, but reality is what it is. Like the saying goes, all men must die. You know, these adventurers, these rookies, which is good that they're going to training, but they're still green eared in a way, and they thought they were so ready to face some threats. They've been training, but they're like, oh man, I can totally go one on one in a real battle. Just easily win. And that's what everyone thinks. You're on that high. You haven't met a true threat, so you think you're invincible until it's too late. Then you're given the reality of your situation. Swinging your sword is not enough. Aiming your bow is not going to always get you anywhere. You only have a limited amount of bows. You only have an amount of stamina when it comes to swinging your sword. Even when it comes to casting spells, you're not just casting spells, you're using spells. Just as the dwarf guy said. You've got a lot to think about, a lot to conserve. You're not just going in guns blazing. So I love the realism in the situation. You had a comparison between the professionals and the rookies. The rookies were all they could do was run and really try to defend themselves. Then you had the professionals, even though they're professionals, they still had to stay in a group. No one's going out here by themselves slaying tons of goblins by a group. So they didn't do it like you would in a video game. Hang on tons of goblins and orcs by yourself. No, that's unrealistic. You gotta do this in a group. You need to worry not just about yourself and your enemies, but also your companions. What spells can you use where not to hurt yourself and others around you, but only your enemy? Which is what the Wizard Boy did. Thinking about in the situation that was going on. He can't just cast fireballs. He understands the fundamentals, basics of magic in his spells and what he needed to do to create different kinds of combinations. So that echo sound wave was brilliant on his part, making the goblins scurry and run. It's kind of like the war that the Beastkin can do when they war. Enemies are weaker than them will scurry off or they lose their defense and stuff. Their skills go down. So it's very interesting. So with that being said, things were also good on Goblin Slayer's side. They couldn't hunt down all the goblins, so he instead pulled down a river because he had memories of what happened before in the past. So he noticed the area well. Using the lake in order to take down the goblins was a very, very brilliant move. And also, it was very smart on the priestess side, where she told them to retreat and go into town. The Wizard Boy, despite using a good strategy, was still thinking about going after them. He's just saying, they just kill as they please, do as they want when they get the advantage. But then when the tables are turned, they run away. So his mind was probably thinking, continue going after them. Not a smart move. If this was a video game, yeah, why not? But in reality, no. Survival is top priority and following those orders. So okay now, you gotta be clear about this. You may think you're on your high, you got one up, but that one up can only last for so long until you gotta face that reality. No man, I gotta go back. Because you can't always do it yourself. It is completely impossible. So I'm glad they retreated, realistic tactical retreat. They're still rookies nonetheless. They couldn't really handle the goblins all the way. And of course, Big Night Guy slaying that hobgoblin with one swing was pretty sweet. I gotta say about that. Real nice. And then at the end, icing on the cake was the boy. You don't have to like Wizard Boy. You don't. But you can understand him and at least respect the way he's going to. He doesn't like how Goblin Slayer dedicates his life to killing goblins, and that is it. He doesn't like the way he does things. It doesn't feel like he's an adventurer. He feels like more of an exterminator, a guy who's out for vengeance all the time. So he doesn't see Goblin Slayer as an adventurer. But then again, Goblin Slayer doesn't see himself as an adventurer either, he's inside of a guild. He sees his only priority is killing goblins, nothing more, nothing less. So there's that. But he wants to become something his own. He doesn't want to just like goblins. He's trying to move on from the past, from his sister. He doesn't want to be just a person that I'm going to go out, vengeance, become like Goblin Slayer. Instead, he's going to follow his dream. It's going to slay dragons. Now, this was a very important scene right here. And remember, Goblin Slayer wanted to be a hero. He wanted to be an actual adventurer, going on adventures with friends, saving the kingdom, the world, fighting dragons. He wanted to do that. That was his first dream. But because of what happened to his past, he felt like he was bound by the past to do nothing but kill goblins. So all that rage inside him consumed him, and that's all he thought he had. And now he's starting to lighten up a little bit and to do other things, making friends and comrades. And we'll probably do other things besides goblin slaying. But it took so long for him to do that. But then you have this boy who went through the same situation as you did, takes a different route. He did something that you couldn't do at that age. He decided, I'm going to go, and I'm going to go do a dream. Despite what happens to me, I'm not going to let the past bound me or create me. I'm going to carve out my own path. And he saw this, he laughed. Because meaning there's still hope. This was probably the most important scene in the entire episode. Because you see that change can happen, cycles can be broken, history don't always repeat itself, things can change within every individual. We all may can go through the same or similar experiences, But each and every one of us has that dice where we can throw and decide what life we will take. And that was amazing to him. Seeing him actually laugh. Really, it was a very interesting scene, and even with the farm girl coming by and saying, "You look happy," and you can tell he looks happy because, once again, by the shading and lighting, by the armor, they do an amazing job of Goblin Slayer. Without ever seeing his face, you can tell how he feels. It's freaking awesome. I really do enjoy that, and I doubt a lot of people will talk or notice that really when it comes to this show, let alone the story as a whole. So yeah, man, I'm glad Goblin Slayer got season two, man. We get to see these scenes to be animated, and it just feels right. So yeah, so that's my review for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, hit that bell icon. This has been Madcrownxox on Anime. Signing out.